Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jacqueline Dorsey of Lean Frontiers and I'll serve as your host today. I'm excited to bring to you today a short webinar on lean sales and marketing facilitated by Jen Dieter. Her work has included a wide array of approaches and solutions developing and implementing business strategies and driving bottom line financial performance. This session is being recorded if you want to refer back to it later. So for now, let me turn things over to Jen.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Thanks both for hosting this webinar and this series of webinars and for asking me to present. I very much appreciate it. And hello to you and Dwayne. Hi to everyone. My name is Jen Dieter. I'm a vice president with John Kim and Associates. And as Jacqueline mentioned, I'm going to be talking with you for a bit about lean sales and marketing, and particularly around the area of driving business performance. So I am part of John Kim and Associates, and I'm the vice president of the organization, and my partners in crime, if you will, are John Kim and Jacob Raymer. John is the president of the organization, and Jake as president of the sister organization, the Institute for Enterprise Excellence. The sister organization and JKA really work together to continually grow our own knowledge base and expand what's possible using lean as an approach to deliver long-term sustainable change to organizations. Jake's work, he calls it as being a pracademic, so it acts as a bridge between academic understanding on topics such as the neuroscience of behavior change and our work as frontline change of how to actually influence individual behaviors working in processes to do something different tomorrow than they did today. So that collaboration has been an important part of our leadership team. We've worked across a myriad of industries, from commercial manufacturing to healthcare and oil and gas, and you see some clients listed there. This topic is an exciting topic for me. It's a non-traditional application of lean, and just sort of kicking it off, I'd like to start with a few questions. What if you could leverage the knowledge of your top performing salespeople to elevate your whole sales team to perform more like those top performers? What if you could connect the knowledge of the sales team with your product development team and product introduction team and vice versa, to really have a value stream perspective to be better for the existence of each other? What if you could connect operations and sales and marketing to ensure that the good knowledge and understanding on in each of these departments or areas is expanded upon and leveraged to the best of their abilities to deliver cutting-edge results? Lean for sales is really about connecting people with information and the information that they really need to make better decisions to improve performance. So in this webinar, we're going to talk about these main topical areas. First, we're going to talk about what is lean for information flow. I know it's a non-traditional application, so we're going to talk about what that means and how it works. We're going to talk about the importance of a value stream perspective for both sales and marketing. And we're also going to talk about within the departments of sales and marketing, what are some of the applications and opportunities for using lean in a different way, particularly focused around sales team performance to drive bottom line results. And I'm going to do most of these in case study format to hopefully offer up some real world examples to bring you an understanding of what I'm trying to convey. So what is lean? You know, the lean thinking, lean approach applied in different industries to different types of processes keeps its core essence of lean, which is about looking at processes and understanding how they flow and why they flow the way they do, to look for opportunities to make them better, right? To identify and eliminate waste in our processes, Lean's not about doing the things that we do today, but doing them faster tomorrow. It's about taking the time to identify those things that we must do today, but if we make a change or an improvement, we no longer have to do them tomorrow. Even though I know it's a fairly straightforward slide, the core elements here are very important. Lean always starts with the current state. It doesn't start with what we imagine things to be. It always includes the vision for the future, and then it includes two really important elements: taking the time to understand what really occurs, identify the wastes in that work, and eliminate it. That second step of actually eliminating the waste is everything in Lean. If we keep things the way they are, we will not see an improvement. We have to make a change. We have to try for better and continually engage in ongoing incremental improvement. And Lean gives us this methodology. It gives us a way of looking at our processes, not imagining what they do, but seeing what they actually do. And it gives us a way to do that in a non-finger pointing sort of way. It's quantitative, it's non-emotional. The processes perform in the way they perform. And we can look at our processes in a number of different ways. We can look at them from the perspective of information flow, which we're going to talk about today. And traditionally, they look at processes from the perspective of material flow. Either way, the processes are what they are, and they perform how they perform. If we want to do something different, we're going to use our Lean tools with two objectives in mind: the identification of waste and the elimination of waste. It's important to note, however, that when we're looking at our processes, we need to keep in mind what we're setting out to achieve. We have to go beyond identifying and eliminating waste and really consider, in what we're setting out to achieve, which are the most impactful wastes. In the world that we live in, we don't have endless time and resources to spend on improvement. So we really have to pick our efforts that are going to drive the business cases we need to achieve. And this starts by defining our business case. Once we understand what we're setting out to achieve, defining where's the leverage, what are the right processes that are going to have the most impact and the biggest opportunity to impact that business case. And from there, in those processes, we're going to leave that business case glasses on, if you will, to look at your process to identify and eliminate those wastes. And in that way, we can make sure we are spending those precious improvement resources wisely and getting the results that we can measure. One of the things that's important to do as we look at our processes, particularly when we have processes that are knowledge-based and information-based, such as sales and marketing, we work to understand our processes from the perspective of information flow. And we do that by, again, involving those who do that work in the understanding of their processes. And we ask questions, pretty simple questions like, in your work, what percentage of the time does information arrive complete and ready to go? They can answer that question, and they will. They'll tell us. And that can be a 90%, it could be 100%, or it could be, never. And that guides us to what we need to work on, what we need to change, what we need to build in order to achieve our objectives. Sometimes it's less about having no information, but lacking the right information. We recognize that managers and salespeople, they will make decisions. They will get the job done to the best of their ability. But it's really about, with what information will they make that decision? And is it the right information? And as we understand, particularly how some folks perform more effectively than others, very often it's because some members of the team have information others don't. So what information do some members of your team know that others do not, but they should? And this often guides us to things that we can put in place and process to drive improvement. Another way that we work to understand how information is flowing in process are looking for some key signals that there's an issue, like searching, or delays, missed opportunities, poor timing. If we'd only known sooner about this, we could have won this job. Low or no return on effort. So these are non-value added activities as seen in information flow. They're different than rework or scrap on a shop floor, but they are waste. And they're really important to begin to think about if we want to improve process flows for information and knowledge workers. The question at the bottom is a powerful one. What percentage of the time do we understand what we need in order to succeed? Very often we do understand it, we just don't have it. And sometimes we don't even understand it. And we have to make sure that we can build in a way of creating that capability across an entire team, not just our top performers. Lean in sales is actually a tremendous opportunity because when applied properly, it's highly effective of driving very top-line business objectives, things like revenue, margin, growth. It's visible on the P&L. We can also use Lean to create processes that enable knowledge and capability that enables our low performers to perform more like our medium performers to perform more like our high performers. And believe it or not, our high performers improve too because they learn from each other. So that opportunity is tremendous. And then to design processes to connect sales folks and the rest of the business is also a tremendous opportunity. So starting first, again, with the business case, what are we setting out to achieve? Then identifying the value stream and the processes that have the most impact on that business case, identifying the waste in that process, eliminating the waste, building in the right knowledge to create processes that flow, and to develop internal knowledge and capability for ongoing improvement. Again, it's all about starting with your business case. So some key opportunities are around increasing sales team effectiveness to drive revenue and margin, to building the right game plans to target a market, to target strategic customers, to build the right pricing strategies, and then execute to these. We have a lot of approaches to approach close rates, improving our close rates, to improving our win rate and building the win strategy, turnaround times on quotes and bids, product launch effectiveness. It's all about beginning to utilize lean thinking to target and targeting the right things for your business, customers, markets, margins, etc. It's also about building the right learning model, a way of capturing information and knowledge and sharing it amongst the whole team so that we can continue to learn together and exponentially expand upon what is often a group of individual artisans, and we can now become really functional as a team growing together. I'm going to talk about some case studies now, some general themes of these case studies for sales and marketing, hit on some key points that we've seen as tremendous opportunities. One is around the connection between sales, marketing, and the rest of the organization, product development, product introduction, marketing campaigns, connecting to operations, as well as those efforts that can focus within the department to really optimize the effectiveness of the internal teams. So for those of you in the world of sales, that cartoon may or may not look somewhat familiar. A new product launch. So this is a case study about a piece of a medical equipment supplier that brought us in because they had launched a new line of furniture, really, for the hospital market. And it was a beautiful line. They brought in top designers and were on trend. But when they went to launch this new product line, it was abysmal. There were virtually no sales. They did not know what to do. And as we went in to understand what really happened and why, there were some big ahas. We discovered that sales was not involved with the product, the planning of the product, the go-to-market planning, the new product introduction phase. Not only were they not involved in that, they actually had no experience in selling this type of product. They had not sold in the construction phase of a new facility being built, which is what this product needed to be sold at the point of construction. It needed piped and wired. They did not have contacts in construction. They had sold, within the hospital marketplace of existing facilities. And essentially, we needed to revamp the whole game plan around how to sell this product and build those processes, starting first with a small team. They brought in some new talent, and then built with those new salespeople the right approach for selling this new product. They learned how to be successful, and then we trained other sales staff and spread this new approach across the sales team members and essentially relaunched that product. The second time around, the product launch was successful. Okay, so Superstar here. This is another case study about sales team performance. So an organization, a medical device manufacturer, had a sales team that had become stagnant. Their sales for a particular product had become stagnant. However, they had some top salespeople that were absolutely rock stars. They outperformed the next 18, and they did it every year. And the question was, how? Why? What was so great about these folks? How come they were so much better than everyone else? Well, we learned. We had an enjoyable time with these folks, and we learned an awful lot. And about halfway through, 4 or 5 hours into our effort of working with this team, the superstars were unbelievably quiet. They didn't want to be there. These were salespeople. They wanted to be out selling and making money. And we had come up with some thoughts and ideas, and we asked them, so, what are your thoughts on our game plan? And the response was, well, you aren't even asking the right questions. And they went on to very quickly explain their approaches and what they did differently. And what they did differently was substantial. They understood the people they sold to, they understood their budget cycles, they understood their current leases, they understood to a degree that the rest of the group hadn't even put on the table. And the approach that we had to take was entirely different than we would have otherwise imagined. So from these superstar salespeople, we were able to understand what was the information they had and used that drove their performance, what were their capabilities, and how different were they from everyone else, so that we could begin to close the gap and create the right training, the right information, the right tools, so that our top performers could continue to learn from each other, but mostly so our medium performers could get some of the skills of our top performers and begin to achieve their sorts of numbers, and our low performers could perform more like our medium performers and really shift the trend of this product line. And we saw by individual a 5 to 30% increase in their sales close rates across nearly all of these team members. Okay, so this is the Dirty Dozen. So this was a new product launch where we had a division that had multiple product lines. And the sales teams across the different lines of business had different customers that actually were great potential customers for some of the other lines, and for a new product line that was coming out. However, the technical dimensions of the products this company sold were pretty specific and complicated, and the sales team was uncomfortable selling other folks' technology as well as some of the new technology. They didn't want to misspeak, and they didn't feel like they understood the detail enough to do a good job at it. So what we did was, we understood the issue, and then we began to build the core capability not to sell the new product, but to recognize the lead. And so we came up with lists of keywords, key opportunities. They would, the sales folks would not, again, not go into great detail about the new product, but they would listen for keywords and key issues. And if they heard them, they would mention that this new product exists, and they would create a warm handoff between the potential client and the internal expert. So we built this defined list of key contacts or subject matter experts for all of these lines of business, and a new process to hand them over. We also built what became known as the Dirty Dozen, which was, which were these key words and descriptions, so that as soon as a salesperson could hear it, they could recognize that this is a possible opportunity, and deployed this process into all the sales regions for this particular business, and saw a $20 million growth across those lines of business from this cross-selling. And there's a Dirty Dozen again. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is about seasonal sales cycle body of work. So this was an insurance client, and this client was in the rapid growing space. They had lofty growth goals and seasonal sales cycles that depended largely on temporary help. So it was a unique issue. The temporary sales help had a close rate that was about half of what the full-time staff had. So we needed to figure out how to design process to achieve a temporary staff close rate that was much closer to the full-time staff. And so we did by defining what were all the keys to success, not just, well, both for selling to this in this particular marketplace, but also in selecting the right temporary sales staff to begin with. So we defined all the needed information and training requirements. We defined hiring standards, and they actually achieved the 2 times the close rate that was previously held by the full-time staff during this annual enrollment period, but the full-time staff's rate improved also. They used the tools, they learned from them, and the results were incredible. And again, I apologize for the click error. So you see that we had a record enrollment, record re-enrollment, 3x revenue growth, and a maintained star rating. So marketing, operations, and call center case studies. So this this member service department had widely varying call numbers, and there was a lot of study of these numbers to understand actually how to staff for these calls. And the client knew generally which days were most busy, and they did staff for it. But occasionally, there were days that went well through the roof at 2x what was predicted, and call times extended and grade of service dropped. And the manager would analyze the data and look at it and track and trend, and then there were these blurbs, right? There were these blips in trend, and they couldn't understand them. And as we reached out to the member service folks actually answering the phones, the representatives, they knew. We asked them, why? Well, whenever the marketing flyers went out to thousands of members, the calls came in. But our marketing department wasn't connected operationally very well to the call center, so no one told them. And so what was intended to be a way of either informing members or selling to prospective members ended up meeting them with extended call times, long waits, and frustration. Not at all what was intended. So we were able then to work together with marketing and the call center to actually plan these and staff for them and make sure that our phone grade of service did not drop, and we could actually convert these potential members to members of that health plan. Another case study on marketing efforts and connection into the actual phone calls was for a health practice, actually a delivery system of 9 practices that was undergoing a huge marketing blitz trying to grow panel sizes for physicians. But this time around we learned our lesson and set up ahead of time a buddy system for calling, so that any phone calls that extended out past a specified time would then roll into the system and become available to any, it could be answered by any available practice. And so with that marketing effort, our phone times did not extend, our grade of service did not drop for that particular client, and the efforts were hugely successful. So that's an example of learning a lesson. So why sales? Why lean in sales? You know, lean in sales has a really clear business case, and that really is driven by your organization. Very often it sounds like revenue, margin, or strategic growth, but that's to be determined by you. It's about identifying and eliminating waste associated with the flow of information, and really about optimizing the right information to make the right decisions for your business. And it's about creating processes that flow, again, the right information at the right time to the right person, so that we can make those right decisions and perform. This is just an overview of our services that we offer, and you can certainly go to our website and see a lot of different case studies, as well as here's my email. So please feel free to send me any questions that you might have about this topic or about any other lean types of topics. It is my life's work, and I thank you so much for calling into this webinar. And I'll hand it back to you, Jackie. I think I am out of time.
Yeah. Jen, thank you for facilitating our session today. As mentioned previously, today's webinar is being recorded. So look for an email following our time together for a link to the recording. And feel free to share this throughout your organization. So again, thank you, Jen, and thanks to each of you for participating in today's session. Goodbye.